Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our FrameWORX today on careers in life sciences. We are excited to hear from many companies and many early and career folks. I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of BioCrossroads, Patty Martin. Take it away, Patty.
Thanks, JoBeth. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you joining us today. Many of you may have realized that we are celebrating our 20th anniversary at BioCrossroads this year, and it's been quite a ride. One of the things that obviously makes the life sciences sector tick here in the state of Indiana is talent. And today we're going to take the opportunity to really do a double click on the talent that is throughout our state and some of the early career opportunities that are available. We've got a great lineup to bring that to life today. It's important to understand the impact of the life sciences and the employment that we have here in the state. We have over 2,500 companies in the life sciences sector here in Indiana, and those employ almost 60,000 people. And importantly, the average wage is nearly double that of the average wage of the state of Indiana, topping in over $105,000 per year. So it's important for us to understand the impact of talent and make sure that we get the message out that there are spectacular opportunities to participate in and contribute to the life sciences sector here in the state of Indiana. And that's where we're going to spend our time today. So we're delighted to have a panel joining us. And importantly, I'd like to start by introducing Sue Ann Turner Johnson, Human Resources Business Partner at Cook Medical. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. Again, I want to thank JoBeth Zimmerman and her team for inviting Cook Medical to speak today. Again, my name is Sue Ann Turner Johnson, and I'm the HR Business Partner for Engineering and Regulatory at Cook Medical. My career background includes multiple years as a hotel general manager and university career coach. Helping others to identify their career path has always been a common theme throughout my professional career. And I'm fortunate for my experiences throughout my life, and especially here at Cook Medical. Today, we're sharing our culture and a couple of the programs that support those transitioning to an early career, which we know to be a vital tool and aid for those about to commence their professional lives. These programs are the early bridge to employment. Next slide, please. Cook Medical was founded by Bill and Gail Cook in 1963, and its headquarters is in Bloomington, Indiana. The mission of Cook Medical is to invent, manufacture, and deliver a wide portfolio of medical devices to the healthcare systems of the world. The care of the patient lies at the core of the choices we make, as we demand the highest standard of quality, ethics, and all that we do here at Cook. Everything Cook has been since day one based on one simple thought, and that is do the right thing. It's an integral belief which continues to guide us to this day, and I've always said that Mr. Cook has placed his efforts and energy into 4 key ideals: ensuring the quality and development of our products, investing in his employees, and of course, his family, and giving back to the community. And these key ideas have molded the Cook culture and sustained a welcoming work environment. Next slide, please. As we have noticed, diversity, equity, and inclusion and culture are rapidly changing, not only in the world around, but also in the workplace too. And this is why we are dedicated as a corporation to remove barriers to foster pathways to success through the education of our employees and young people who will soon become a part of Cook community. This trajectory was implemented by Bill and Gail Cook, which again, unconditionally strive to better our communities. We remain rooted in our values as a family-owned company. Treating everyone with respect is so important to Cook that we made it one of our company values. We recognize that strength lies in a diverse workforce, and an inclusive culture is essential for our future. Next slide, please. You may have heard that Cook Medical recently partnered with Goodwill to found the Goodwill Indy Project. The Goodwill Indy project is located at 38th Street and Sheridan Avenue in Indianapolis. The project humbly strives to provide the economics of impoverished neighborhoods by supplying 100 jobs with the eventual plan to increase to 200 jobs. This manufacturing site will have an integral mission of improving the quality of life of its employees and the surrounding communities. If you're interested in more information, there's a website, which is www.38andsheridan.com. Next slide, please. Why do we do this? It's because we believe education is the heart of growth. And through education, investing in our communities and the lives within them become richer. For instance, one of the programs we have implemented is the high school equivalency program, which enables students to earn their HiSET, formerly known as the GED, while working 28 hours a week and devoting 10 hours towards their studies. Cook Medical will finance their classes towards the HiSET and will pay for hours worked plus the hours spent in class. Once a student successfully earns their HiSET and demonstrates success in their part-time position, the student is guaranteed a full-time position with Cook. Next slide, please. Another example of Cook's belief in education is our engineering co-op program. We have partnered with Midwest universities for nearly 20 years. Students accepted into the program spend 16 weeks working under the guidance of full-time engineers on projects that make an impact on the company. We view the engineering co-op program as a bench for future engineers here at Cook Medical. As a result, we have multiple co-op students who have transitioned into full-time positions. Today, you'll hear from Jessica Schleicher, who was once a co-op student and received an early offer before graduation. Her story is unique and insightful for the prospective engineers and professionals alike, as she is now the co-manager of the engineering co-op program. Full circle there, Jessica. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jessica.
Thanks, Sue Ann. As she mentioned, my name is Jessica Schleicher. I am a design control engineer here at Cook, and my Cook story of how I landed here was through my college experience. Next slide. I went to the University of Louisville, and as a part of our requirement for graduating with my bachelor's in science there was to have a co-op education. And so for those of you unfamiliar with a co-op is basically just switching between a semester in the classroom and then a semester in the work environment, like an internship. And so you get real world experience, you're a paid employee and gaining that experience in that area of study. So for my college experience, we had to do 3 semesters of that work experience. Next slide. And so I chose to do 2 of those at Cook. So my first one was on the research team where I helped with some early feasibility work, developing prototypes of some innovative devices that we are working on. And that just kind of really taught me of how, you go from an idea or concept and, can bring it into a device and determine if that's something that you want to move forward with. My second rotation was on the research and development team. And this was really also informative. It was a very different experience, as this was a lot more documentation heavy, as I'm sure those who are on this call presenting are aware, and hopefully those who are not yet. Documentation is a huge part of life sciences. You need to be documenting everything you're doing to really prove that, in our case, medical devices that we're designing are safe and effective for use. And we're just proving and showing all of the testing and that we put that thought and energy into creating the safest and most effective device that we can. So during that term, I got a really hands-on experience of improving my technical writing and really understanding all the different documentation associated just bringing a device and keeping a device on the market. Next slide. I did have such a positive experience at Cook that I decided to turn that into a full-time position. My co-op experience really gave me that confidence early on in my career, as when I was coming in, I kind of knew what I expected. I was familiar with the building. I was familiar with the different systems that we've used. I had really great interactions with the different coworkers that I had met, as well as, different co-ops that I had my semesters with had started full-time when I did. So it was really nice, having friends or having different colleagues that I felt comfortable reaching out to, starting my career if I had questions. And then as well as just having those previous experiences, it didn't feel for nothing. I felt as if I could build upon those experiences and really improve myself as an engineer. Next slide. And then recently here within the last couple months, I have also then started co-leading the engineering co-op program. So like Susan mentioned, kind of coming full circle, being a co-op myself, and now helping lead that program. It's something I'm really passionate about. As I mentioned, I have been in their shoes before, so I kind of have an idea of what it's like to kind of come into a company while you're in college. So I'm really passionate about providing that positive experience that I had for these other future engineers. Also working on improving the program, as I'm sure we're all aware, you always can be improving. So just to give it an even better experience. And then it's just also amazing to see how much it's grown. I was last in the program 4 years ago, and the program has doubled, if not tripled, in that time. So really exciting to take it on. And like Sue-Ann said, just kind of full circle, and how my co-op experience led to my full-time career, and even now into leading the co-op program. So back to you, Sue-Ann.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for sharing your story. And we look forward to encouraging and supporting you in every way that we can here at Cook, and I love that. Overall, your story is a testament to Cook's unwavering commitment to bridging education into the professional sector. So thanks again for sharing your story. Our commitment to education started with Bill Cook, who believed in investing in people as much as he invested in the products. Again, thank you for inviting us today, and please reach out if you have any questions. And now I'm pleased to present your next speaker, Sarah Andrews, HR Director of Azenta.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I sound good? Okay. Well, thank you for having me as well. And if you haven't heard of Azenta, you may know us as Brooks Life Sciences. We recently rebranded as we split from our other organization that we were a part of, which was Brooks Automation. And we're really excited. We formalized this split in February of this year. So it's really new. And honestly, that's what makes it a really exciting time to be part of the company. We're about 3,000 employees globally. And if you go to the next slide, I'll share a little bit more about what Azenta does and why I'm excited to be part of this organization. Our new name, Azenta Life Sciences, is aimed at really signaling our commitment to help bringing customers new innovations faster to market, to patients, to make a difference. And so we do that through offering a variety of exploration and sample management solutions. So if you think about all that goes into the pharmaceutical biopharma process in terms of clinical trials, distribution, and all of that, and all of the things that are needed to support those biological samples, we offer a lot of solutions in that space. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that and show you here in Indianapolis, we have our largest footprint of storage units for biological samples, and we store over 30 million here in Indianapolis. So it's a pretty cool thing to be a part of. And then some of our capabilities include genomics, cryogenic storage, automation, and informatics. So we will talk a little bit more about that. We go to the next slide. So again, here's a little glimpse into the solutions that we provide. And We've got the genomics and analytical services solutions, sample sourcing. So we help identify where samples may exist all over the world from different providers, and we can be a transition point to collecting those samples and getting them to the right hands for research and other needs. We have our storage, automation, and logistics services. A big piece of that footprint does, like I said, live here in Indianapolis. And then we create products to help companies and academic institutions manage their sample needs. And then we do have some data and informatics services and also consultative services. Next slide. I love this slide. It's just a little snapshot to show that we may be small, but we're mighty, and we touch a lot of companies and therapeutics that have really big impact on people's lives. And our long-lasting partnerships are something that we're really proud of. So we work in multiple countries. We manage over 200 different sample types. We've been in this space for 20 years, and we manage the clinical samples that support over 75% of gross revenue of the top pharmaceutical drugs in 2020. So that's pretty exciting. And then we do partner with the top 10 pharma companies, and we have for over the past 10 years. So again, maybe kind of behind the scenes, but we really are excited about the impact that we have in this journey of bringing therapies to help patients. Next slide. My colleague Sam, who's going to speak on the panel as an early career professional, will talk a little bit more, but this is just a snapshot into our Indianapolis operations and just the massive amount of storage units that we provide to support the samples at all their different needs. Next slide. And then again, what are some of the innovations that we're involved in and we're leading to help discover, develop, and deliver faster? We play in the antibody therapeutic space, the cell and gene therapy. We do work in high throughput screening, and we're also involved in vaccine development as well, which we can all have a different level of appreciation for these days, I'm sure. And then finally, next slide. This is where I will get into how we are supporting our early career professionals and what are some of the things that we're doing. So like I mentioned in the beginning, because of where we are as a company, and we're really formulating our own culture as we separate and are a pure life sciences company, we're really interested in listening to the voice of the employee, and our early career professionals are a huge part of that. So we want to make sure that we create an environment here at Azenta where talent can come in early and then envision how they can grow and evolve either within a path or outside of different career functions. And so we just encourage, and we have the agility being small to really allow people to roll up their sleeves and craft that career for themselves. But we want to do things that help them envision the possibilities. And a big part of that is listening to their voice and showcasing the career ladders and different career paths. And on that note, I think one of the ways in which we have been agile and that I'm excited about is we've really expanded to offer more flexible work arrangements to employees. So I think that helps Indiana-based talent see opportunities that may have before required a move to another state, another city, another country even, and they can now often pursue those opportunities if the work is not necessarily hands-on. So that could be in our program management organization, our informatics teams, that could be in some of the engineering roles that are customer facing. There's just a lot of opportunity now for Indiana-based talent to reach opportunities outside of the borders of our state, and also allow talent outside of our state to do work and make an impact on what does happen at our Indiana operations as well. And so I think that we're finding an excellent opportunity to reach a broad talent pool and keep our employees engaged through being agile in that regard. We do have an internship program. This summer, we have brought in about 40 interns from a variety of different schools, almost 20 different schools. Some of those are remote opportunities again, and some of them are hands-on. We've got a couple of interns that are going to be working in our biobank facility here in Indianapolis, really doing sample management work. So that's pretty cool hands-on experience too. And then something new that I'm excited about that we're exploring is we're partnering with an organization called Girls Inc. that's really focused on supporting early young women who are thinking about what they may want to do with their lives and who may not have access to as many resources and opportunities. And this organization helps bring resources to them. And we are going to be bringing in some volunteers that are rising juniors in high school to really come do a rotational program here at Azenta and help out with a variety of projects, but more than anything, get exposure to what is a career in STEM, what does it look and feel like? And so we hope that we'll not only have an impact on those girls, but we'll also be able to build our brand a little bit more among those early career professionals who may be thinking about a career in STEM, but not really knowing what that tangibly looks and feels like. And then last but not least, certainly similar to Cook, we do offer tuition reimbursement support for employees who come to our organization and either have loans to pay or want to pursue further additional educational opportunities. And we know for our young professionals, that's often something that's really important, and or loans, which are a burden and can create an additional layer of stress that we want to try to help alleviate so that they can bring their best selves to work. So that is just some of the things that I wanted to share again about who we are as a company and why I'm excited because of where we are in our journey as a company and what we're doing in the innovation space and how we're attracting and keeping our early career professional talent. So with that, I will hand it over to Bridget Boyle, and she is the head of culture and people at Roche Diagnostics.
Thank you, Sarah. Great story. And so I'd love to share with all of you a little bit about Roche Diagnostics. So some of you hopefully know the name, but we are the largest biotech company in the world. And we have a very significant diagnostics business and footprint here in Indianapolis. And then we also are one of the world's leaders in pharmaceuticals. We have about 100,000 employees globally. And here in Indianapolis, we have about 3,500 employees that work out of our office, and then another 1,600 that are based nationally that are out selling and supporting the instruments and equipment that we use for testing. And if you think about what is diagnostics, many of you became really aware of diagnostics during the pandemic. And Roche was one of the leading companies that was developing COVID tests as well as the antibody tests that were being distributed around the world. And that's where diagnostics really became front and center for most people because they recognized how important a diagnosis is in understanding what treatment is necessary in taking care of patients. And that's exactly what we do. And so if you think about if you've ever had a typical blood test, or if you've ever had a blood test prior to surgery, or if you or any of your loved ones have ever been touched by a cancer diagnosis or cancer treatment, likely somewhere in that diagnosis period, your test was run on a Roche instrument. And so that's how important what we do and our mission to doing now what patients need next. And so we are, again, we're based here in Indianapolis. We have a significant headquarters here with, I said, 3,500 employees. We focus mainly at our site on R&D. We have a laboratory, we have manufacturing, and we have a pretty significant sales and marketing organization. And if you think about a third of our population in Indianapolis is focused on sales and marketing. Something else that you may not know is that we are in Indianapolis a major producer of test strips for diabetes patients. So it's our Accu-Check products, and we make 1.9 billion strips per year at that facility. So it's quite impressive. When it comes to early in career talent, you know, we were really looking at this retirement cliff that we were facing. And the good thing about Roche is that when people join the organization, they stay and they retire from Roche because it's a great culture. It's a great place to work. We take really good care of each other and our employees. We have a very strong culture. But many of those individuals who are nearing retirement have extremely strong technical skills. And so a few years ago, we were thinking about how are we going to bridge this retirement gap when we start to lose a lot of this, this technical talent that we've had for so many years. And so we started conversations about how do we really invest heavily in our early and career talent, and how do we give them exposure to all different parts of Roche. And one of the partners that you're going to hear from right after me is from Ascend, and that is Stephanie. Stephanie will tell you a little bit about what they do and how they partner with organizations. But Ascend has become a critical partner for us, and that started a few years ago as we talked about how do we translate what our future workforce needs are? How do we translate it in a way that students understand and become excited about and can actually see a career for themselves? And so how Ascend really helped us was in two ways. One was through what they call Ascend services. And so we identified a part of our organization, which is our support network. We have lots of engineers and technical experts that go out and install our instruments around the country, service our instruments. And those instruments are critical that they be up and running 24/7, because that's where all of those, the patient test results are being run and determined by healthcare professionals. And so we recognized that we really needed to double down there. And so what Ascend did for us is they really helped us identify what are those skills that are needed as a student coming out of school. They helped us identify a strategic partner in a university, which is University of Indianapolis. And they also helped us structure a program, which we now call the Roche Academy, which allows for people in their last 2 years of college to get exposure to Roche, to have Roche curriculum mixed in with their med tech or chemistry curriculum. And it's built in with Roche internships and a guaranteed position post-graduation with Roche. We also provide student loan reimbursement and things like that. But we are now, that program is underway. We've had multiple classes come through. It's wildly successful, and it is tailored for exactly what we need. And so that is just one of the programs that Ascend has helped us create. And I would highly, highly encourage you all, if you haven't heard of Ascend, and as a student, if you haven't heard of Ascend, please go out and check out their website and sign up for their network, which is the second part of the programs that they have really helped us with. So the Ascend network is the ability for employers such as Roche to have access to many, many students from around the country, to be able to, what Ascend does is they screen these candidates, they introduce them into the network, and then they help match the students to internship opportunities and full-time opportunities. They help sell the companies like Roche. They help translate what we do into terms that students will understand. And then they do that matching for us, which allows us to go far beyond schools in Indiana, and allows us also to increase the diversity of the individuals that we're hiring. And now we have people from all across the nation doing internships and having full-time opportunities at Roche. So that's another great program that has really helped us expand our early and career talent. Couple of other things I'll just share before I turn it over to Stephanie is one of the things that we are very proud of is our Accelerated Development Program. We call it our ADP program. I believe we are now in our 6th year of that. And so what that is it is a 2-year rotation around different parts of the commercial organization. We hire people right out of college, and it gives them exposure to different parts of Roche before they decide where they want to be placed permanently. And so while they're going through the program, they have mentoring opportunities, community give back opportunities, and they really establish a relationship with their cohort from all different schools. And so that has been hugely successful. The retention rate on that program has been at 98%. It's really helped us expand both diversity in terms of gender as well as ethnicity. And so we will continue to invest heavily in that program. And last but not least, we also have what is called our Enterprise Leadership Program. And that is for individuals who have the desire to become a leader in the commercial organization. We also allow for rotations through that ELDP program before they are placed out into a leadership role within the organization, whether it's in Indy or somewhere nationally. So you can see this is a huge investment for us. We're so excited about the impact that it's had on our culture, the impact that it's had on our ability to expand diversity in the organization, and it continues to be a strategic lever. I've talked a lot about Ascend, and so now I'd love to turn it over to Stephanie, where she can introduce Ascend and how they partner with organizations just like Roche. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Bridget. You do such an amazing job of introducing Ascend that I think you've made my job really easy today. So thank you for that. Good morning, everyone. First, just wanted to say a thank you to BioCrossroads for inviting me to this important conversation. Ascend is the Talent and Workforce Development Initiative of the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership alongside BioCrossroads. So we are thinking day in and day out about these discussions and how we continue to connect our early and career talent to our incredible employers. Next slide. So we were created to address really the challenges that were discussed today. So we know we have lots of open jobs, we have available talent, but how do we connect them? If our employers can't find them and our students or our talent can't find the great jobs, then we continue to have sort of that perpetual gap. Next slide. So despite all the things that these employers are doing today, which has been really incredible for me to even hear more about what Cook is doing and others, there still remains some challenges in bridging the gaps that we're talking about. Some of those challenges include a lack of awareness about what jobs and companies really exist here and what that means for students that are coming through various programs in our state. We also have an insufficient supply of talent in certain areas. I tend to mention nursing here because it's one of those that we continue to not produce enough talent to keep up with demand. We also have a public policy system that's antiquated, so it doesn't keep up with the pace of innovation and change that are happening across our state and our country. Next slide. So Ascend was really created to directly take those issues head on. We're trying to figure out how we can be the bridge and better connect all of the opportunities with all of the different talent pools that we have and figure out where we need to produce supply to better keep up with demand. And that leads us to our vision. If we go to the next slide. So our vision is to make Indiana a place of economic opportunity for all. We need a thriving business sector as well as a thriving talent sector, and we need to make sure that they're finding each other. So we do this in three main ways. If you go to the next slide. You heard Bridget mention these ways as well, and so I'll go into just a little bit more detail about each one. But we have our job matching platform called the Ascend Network. We have our consulting function called Ascend Services, and then we are learning so much about our labor market and what's happening with our talent and with our employers that we're able to publish all of that back out into reports where we can better share what we're learning. So as policymakers, as partners, as innovators, we're able to be using a common set of data to have those conversations about priorities. So just to go a little bit deeper, if we go to the next slide, the Ascend Network is our, as I mentioned, our job matching, internship and job matching platform. So we help job seekers find quality opportunities on that platform. We work to match their interests and their skills. But we also, on the flip side, as Bridget said, we focus on supporting our employers. So we want to make sure we understand what is the culture like, what is the company looking for, what would a qualified candidate need to look like for those various roles that each of those employers have. I like to joke that this is a little bit like a Match.com for our early and career talent, where you have lots of support kind of happening on both sides to be able to make the perfect match. We think this is a unique innovation here in our state. So there's lots of job boards, which are very helpful. But what we do is we power this network by a team of people in supporting both students and employers along the way. So for example, each student, when you sign up for the network, which it's free to sign up. So as Bridget said, if you haven't, you should do that. You get to meet with a member of our staff. We will help you with resumes. We will help you identify, what your interests might be, and then help you navigate the platform to figure out what is the right opportunity for you. We also partner with many career services, offices at universities through data sharing and partnerships to really make sure our students are able to find what it is that they're looking for. Likewise, Bridget mentioned this too, but each employer gets dedicated time with our team to really get set up on the network, to put their best foot forward about what makes them special and unique and what they want talent to know about their culture and about their business. So we follow up with them frequently too, to recommend candidates and to also have conversations about how's it going? Are you finding the candidates that you're looking for, so we can make those matches? And we're really starting to see success. We've posted over 4,000 roles just this year alone. We've had over 400 of those and more in life sciences. And we've placed thousands of individuals at this point since we started into internships and job opportunities. So if you are not on the network and you are a student, let's get you signed up. And if you are an employer and you also are not signed up, please let me know, and we would love to get connected with you so we can put your opportunities in front of a very wide audience here. Next slide. So Bridget also mentioned our second offering, Ascend Services. That's actually the team that I get to lead. And so what we work to do is better connect our employers and our education providers so that we can ensure the talent that's coming out of our education and training providers is actually meeting the needs that our employers have in our state. And I really love the conversation about not just what the demand has been, but where it's going and what is the next generation of skills, knowledge, and roles that are coming down the pipe for our various sectors, advanced sectors of our economy. And how do we get ahead of that by bringing together employers and education? So where there are those gaps between our employers and the talent that is being produced, we come alongside those partners and help to build a talent pipeline. Talent pipeline, very simply stated, is a workforce development strategy which ensures that we are training and attracting individuals that are skilled in the ways that are needed to fill roles that an employer needs. So I loved Cook's example. You can see they have many pathways and talent pipelines that they're building into their organization. Roche also mentioned, Bridget also mentioned some of those at Roche as well. If you go to the next slide. We're really grateful for the comments that Bridget made on the Roche Academy and really thinking about our next generation of talent here. So Roche built a custom program, as she mentioned, that worked to address a gap we saw in the labor market. And so she talked about it from the retirement side and some of the challenges, the business case really for making sure that we were able to address the business need that they had. The other piece I wanted to mention is that we have some amazing science programs in our state. We also have amazing sort of med tech type programs, but we really, when we scoured the landscape, we looked at 13 different institutions, 34 different programs. We didn't really have many that combined the two, that really looked at both science and what the tech skills were needed in order to do some of this work. And with the increasing complexity of the diagnostic work happening at Roche, there really was a need to understand science and understand how to tinker and how to do the mechanical side of the work. So we were able to partner with the University of Indianapolis to work to build a program that would ensure those students were not only getting their internships and a degree to go on to work at Roche, but was combining together maybe two fields that hadn't been as connected previously. And we see a lot of opportunity for Ascend to continue to support our employers in education in getting ahead of what's coming and thinking about how you might create new or blended programs that will allow us to address the jobs of the future. Next slide. I do want to mention that Roche is one of our main partners. So I know I've talked about them a lot, but we also partner with a variety of other companies. So I did just want to mention that we have partnered with Community Health Network, and we specifically worked on a very different issue, which was focusing on behavioral health professionals. And a lot of times our behavioral health professionals are trained as licensed clinical social workers. So this is sort of even further up on the education spectrum. But we needed a lot more of these, and actually we still do, to address the opioid epidemic. So we worked with Community Health to upskill their existing professionals from licensed clinical social workers to also be dually licensed as clinical addictions counselors, because addiction is such a large challenge that we face in our community. So we also do this type of program. It could be early in career. It could be focused on upskilling a current subset of the population that you have. So if you'd like to learn any more about our work around talent pipelines or upskilling, particularly if you're an employer and you're interested in how you could get involved, we have created toolkits through the generous support of the Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation to really highlight the work that we do. So we are happy to share those with you. You can also find them at our website, ascendindiana.com, if you'd like to learn more, or you can always reach out to me. So on the next slide here, just the final piece I'd like to share is a new and emerging model for talent development. So we are working on establishing through our services team a youth talent pipeline strategy through a program called Modern Apprenticeship. And I like to start this conversation, particularly with employers, by saying that we let our teenagers babysit our kids, run our movie theaters, deliver food, provide our food in restaurants. So we need to get them engaged in our businesses. They can do it, and they're amazing. We have several youth apprentices at Ascend now, and they're doing incredible work. So in Central Indiana, thus far through Modern Apprenticeship, we have over 25 employers who either are currently have hired or will hire youth apprentices through this program, including several life sciences partners. So what is this program? Modern Apprenticeship is a 2 to 3 year program designed to prepare Central Indiana high school students for the workforce. So they get a paid hands-on experience. They are hired by the employer, and they do real work on behalf of that business while they are finishing up their high school diploma, certifications, and credentials. They start in their junior year, and they can pursue jobs in a whole variety of fields. You might think of apprenticeship as only trades or sort of the previous version of apprenticeship, but we are bringing that forward into today's age of saying, what are all the modern industries where youth should and could be an incredibly valuable talent pipeline for our businesses, such as IT and life sciences. So after they complete their 3-year experience where you hire them, they get, their on-the-job learning, their credentials, and their credit. And now, hopefully the goal would be they could come out of that experience and go into a strong entry-level job for you. Or maybe they could go on and continue to a bachelor's degree and continue up the career ladder. But the goal here is that the student's getting an incredible opportunity and package, but they're also delivering real value to your business. You're giving them real work, and you'll get a return on investment because you have a 3-year commitment from this student. If you go to the next slide, we see the value across all of our partners, which I talked a little bit about, but really for employers, this is an incredibly diverse talent pipeline. Our high school student population is much more diverse in aggregate than our college population. So we have to work to address that as well. But if we push that into high school, we might be able to continue to encourage more students to get into our companies and be able to move on to the post-secondary education that's required if they are going to get a good job. And again, they will fuel our economy of the future. So it's just critical. I already mentioned a lot of the benefits we see for the students and why it's so important for them. And then for our education partners, this is a way to deepen relationships and partnership with our business community in a meaningful way while making sure their students are getting all of the graduation pathways completed. So that's just a little bit about sort of our broad range of offerings on the services side. The final thing I wanted to mention, if you go to the next slide, is the last piece of what we do. So through my comments, you can see we're just learning a ton about what the business community needs, what the challenges are on the supply side, and how to bring those together. So we know that individual programs alone are insufficient to really address the needs that we have. So we focus on how can we conduct research on what is happening in our labor market? Where is it today? Where is it going? And how do we publish that out? We convene a variety of partners, whether it's our board, our employer partners, our government partners, to really share that information and then figure out what can we do about it. So how do we figure out what the right interventions are as a key group of stakeholders that are trying to address many of these gaps? Finally, if you go to the last slide, just really grateful for the time today to share a little bit more about what we do. If there is, if anything I said piqued your interest today, whether you are a student looking for a career here in Indiana, if you're an employer and we haven't had a chance to connect, or also you're an employer and you have these stubborn, challenges around talent, we would love to talk with you. So my email is here. And yeah, just thanks again to BioCrossroads for having me. So next, I am thrilled to introduce my colleague, Lori Leroy. She is the Vice President of BioCrossroads. Lori is the Executive Vice President of Communications for BioCrossroads, and she also serves in the same role at the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership. Over to you, Lori.
Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing all of the good work that Ascend is doing. We are so happy to have such a strong partnership with you guys and love hearing about all of the work that you're doing in the life sciences to help us grow and further increase all the work that's happening here in Indiana. So thanks for everything you guys are doing. And we also loved hearing from all of our HR colleagues earlier. We'll have a chance to ask them some additional questions at the end. But right now, what I'd like to do is introduce some folks that are early in career at some of our life sciences companies, so they can really give you some insight into maybe why they chose the job that they have, why they became interested, and how they got where they are at this point. So our next generation of life sciences leaders are really critical to Indiana. And so we want to share a little bit more about some individuals and their stories. So with that, I'd love to introduce Samantha Bracken. She's a team coordinator with Azenta. Saketu Patel, and he's with Roche Diagnostics. Swarna Ramaswamy from B2S Life Sciences. She's a lead research scientist there. And so, Swarna, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about B2S, since we haven't heard anything about them this morning, and what your role is and maybe how you got there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for having me on. To give you a little bit about B2S Life Sciences and also myself, I'm Swarna Ramaswamy. I'm a lead, as Lori mentioned, I'm a lead scientist at B2S Life Sciences. We're located in Franklin, Indiana. We are a biotherapeutic enablement company, and I'll tell you a little bit what that means. We work with our clients who vary anywhere from small biotech companies to mid to large pharma companies. What we do is we help them through the various stages of developing a biotherapeutic. So whether it's preclinical or a clinical trial, we help them with assay development, generation of data that enables them to do their safety and efficacy studies, and eventually also help through consultations and generating documents that go into their FDA submissions. So we cover a variety of aspects during these biotherapeutic development, data generation, consultation, assay development, statistical analysis. We have several departments that do these various functions. And in the end, what we do is we help them take their drug through discovery, preclinical, and then clinical phase, and hopefully it makes it to the market. So that's the end goal. And that's what we do. And we're kind of like a contract research company, but we call ourselves CRO adjacent because of the variety of things we do. And in terms of, and I'll be happy to answer more questions about what we do at B2S Life Sciences, of course. In terms of my career trajectory, it's actually not, it's not super adventurous, I will say that. I got my college degree in biotechnology, and I knew this was in India. I knew grad school was my next step. I wanted to get a PhD, but I felt like I needed to take a little time to figure out where and what I wanted to get a PhD on, because it is a big commitment. So I was interning at a university lab during college. So that's where I continued research right after college when I graduated. So I did research there for about a year, after which I started my PhD at University of Texas in Houston. So that's how I became a transplant here. And I got my PhD in biochemistry and neuroscience. After that, I moved to Indiana, did a postdoctoral fellowship at Indiana University, where I also worked on a neuroscience-related project. And throughout this entire process, a lot of my work involved developing assays and just creating something from scratch to answer questions. So that was part of most of what I did. So it was a gradual transition into assay development, and I started working at what used to be called AIT Bioscience in northwest of Indianapolis, and it's since changed names a couple of times. So the organization is now called Q2 Solutions. And I worked there for almost 5 years as a senior research scientist, doing large molecule biotherapeutic assay development. And I'm now here with B2S Life Sciences for a year and a half. I'm a lead research scientist here. I do more of what I used to be doing assay development and a little bit more. I've branched out a little bit in terms of validations and also working on submissions, just branched out, widened my wings a little bit at B2S Life Sciences. And it's been a great experience. And again, feel free to ask me questions about any of this, what I did, what we do as the company. And I'm really happy to be here because this topic is of a lot of interest to me. I feel passionate about it. I do think that for young professionals to be set up to succeed in their career, the best way to do that is to give them the opportunities, give them the exposure that they need early in their career. So I'm really thankful to see all the opportunities that are being made available.
Great. Thanks so much. Samantha, can you tell us about your career path and how you got to Azenta and what you do there?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Samantha Bracken. So I'm currently a team coordinator here at Azenta Life Sciences. A little bit of background about myself. As you can see on the screen, I'm an IUPUI graduate, which is a college here in Indianapolis. I spent 5 years there studying forensic science, actually. So a little different than life sciences, but still the same classes. After my time here at IUPUI, I transferred over to Western Kentucky to wrap up a master's. If you ask my mom, I'm currently searching for schools to get my doctorate degree currently. So that's the next step on my list. As for work, I work with a phenomenal team right now that focuses on storing, transporting, and analyzing samples for use in research. This includes discovery, preclinical, clinical trials, manufactured and regulated distributed products. So what I do every day is I set day-to-day goals. This includes receiving samples in through our doors, storage of those samples, and monitoring discrepant data that I reach out to the clients for, to find that resolution. We outbound samples, we discard as well. So with that sample integrity, client satisfaction, and the safety of peers in mind, I'm just here to set goals and make sure that the clients are happy. So alongside the company, I myself have grown here at Azenta. It's been a wild ride these past 2 years, but I've actually received 3 promotions here. I started as a technician 1, and I excelled very quickly. I previously had worked at a toxicology lab, which gave me tremendous experience, but I wanted something a little bit more fast-paced, which Azenta just so happened to be that place for me. Formerly Brooks, I started at Brooks, but as we went through our name change, so it's been fun. Azenta challenges me daily. They make me think ahead, but they also make me think of that bigger picture. So this has led me to an industry that I had no idea that I would even have an interest in. I did want to go for forensics, as I mentioned, so government jobs were in mind. But I did have a few friends from college that I grew extremely close with that gave me the lead to Brooks at the time, which is now Azenta. And I applied, I took that leap, and I've loved every single second of it, actually. So as a whole, I feel like Azenta is just making huge ground in those sample management benefits. So, having that in my hands is, amazing. It just feels like one of a kind. It's definitely something in my career that just boosted me up. I have no intentions on leaving anytime soon. So Sarah, we're going to be hanging out for quite a while. But no, it's a very exciting career that I'm in.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. So K2, your turn. Tell us what you do at Roche and your path to get there.
All right. Yeah, my name is K2 Patel. Thanks for having me. I'm currently an associate workflow consultant at Roche, but my background in college was in computer engineering. So I went to IUPUI as well. So we have that in common, Samantha. But yeah, I went to IUPUI, got a computer engineering degree. While I was at IUPUI, I discovered what Roche was through a career fair, not just a career fair, but also some of my family and friends knew about Roche, worked at Roche, and I've heard the name in the back of my head many times, and I just didn't know exactly what they did. But this career fair kind of taught me what Roche was, and so I applied for an internship. Ended up getting an internship with the Roche Diabetes Care for global complaint handling, and from there I discovered all the different pathways that Roche offered. So I saw that there was an opportunity to be a part of the accelerated development program. And I really was interested in this because I loved what I did as a computer engineer, but I wanted to see what else was out there. I didn't want to put myself in a silo. So I just wanted to see what other opportunities were out there. And ADP kind of gave me that pathway to do that. So when I applied for ADP, I ended up getting the role and went through the rotational program for 2 years. My first rotation being in inside sales, then in implementation, which is more of an engineering position, and then my last rotation being more of a marketing position. So all the areas that I really didn't have experience in. So it gave me the opportunity to explore every avenue. Not every avenue, but many different avenues that were possible at Roche. It gave me a little bit of background on each of those fields. But from there, I got the opportunity to make those networking connections that opened up different areas that I could end up in. So I wanted to take my computer engineering background and I wanted to take my business background that I got from ADP and apply it to a job. So I looked around, and one thing that really made me want to go for it was the associate workflow consulting position. And what we do here is, what our team does is we go into labs, we analyze their workflow, and we do time studies. We take 3D scans of their labs. We try and improve whatever they're doing to get that sample out as fast as possible, the result, the diagnostic, as fast as possible outside of the lab. So once that sample comes in, how can we efficiently monitor, or how can we efficiently change, whether it be the layout of their lab, whether it be adding a Roche instrument, if it's a competitor, just trying to figure out the best method of trying to increase their workflow. So that's kind of what our team does. But overall, that this position has been great in terms of teaching me how to communicate with customers, teaching me how to kind of be in a lab, understand how a lab works, the importance of diagnostics, and the importance of how once a blood sample gets sent in, how important it is to get it out as fast as possible, so then that result can get to the patient, and they can analyze what they need to make that diagnosis. So overall, love what I do, and Roche has definitely given me the opportunity to discover all my different strengths, and very grateful for them.
Great. So, and I'll stay with you, K2. I also worked at Roche at one point in my career, and had never worked in life sciences before. And now I feel like that was sort of my life's work is being in this field and being passionate about it. As someone who came from a different industry into the life sciences, what do you like about it? And do you get any satisfaction just knowing how your work is actually contributing to, health around the world and to making people's lives better? And I'll ask everybody that question, but I'll start with you since you didn't start out perhaps with a life sciences focus in your undergrad work.
Yeah, I think that overall life sciences has been one of those things where I really found the passion for when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, something in my, just personally, my dad got COVID and he was hospitalized. And from that, I was for like 10 days. And it was one of those things where I was like, wow, I can't believe this is actually happening. I didn't really fully understand what diagnostics was, because this was back in like 2020 when it was first starting off. And that really made me appreciate what we do at Roche. And one of my rotations in commercial enterprise, I actually worked with the White House Task Force for COVID reporting. And so to kind of go full circle on that was something that I couldn't even explain. It was really motivating. It was very motivating to be able to be like, okay, the numbers that we're pulling from our instruments, the numbers that this data is going to, which is the White House Task Force, and these numbers that are being used are affecting everybody in this entire world. And to be a person who was a part of that, it was very, very, very motivating. And it felt good to also share that story with my dad. And yeah, that's just something that I'm really passionate about.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Samantha, what about you? I mean, you started out with, some interest in life sciences with forensics, or, adjacent to life sciences. And has that passion grown for you? It sounds like if you're looking at getting a master's or a PhD program, that perhaps it's in your blood now too.
Yes, it is my blood. It kind of escalated. I got out of my undergrad and I found a job in a toxicology lab, which, like I said, gave me tremendous experience. I am thankful for that, because I walked into Azenta, formerly Brooks, and I took off. The scale in the toxicology lab was kind of, very minimal compared to what we do here at Azenta. Over the past 2 years, I've seen us grow, by hundreds of freezers of, 25 to 50,000 samples each. So the scale alone is just mind blowing, for lack of a better term. But, the impact and what it means to me and why I think I love it so much is everyone that we talk to, has been impacted in some instance of illness, diseases, cancers. I know personally in my life, I've had loved ones, lose the battle for, terrible cancers that are on the brink of having, a treatment prepared and ready. So, that passion drives from the ability to just give, people the option to have treatment. So I like to think that my hard work is going into hospitals and, the doctor visits where, we can provide any individual in the community with the options, to further progress in that treatment. So
thank you, Swarna. So it sounds like maybe you've always had an interest in the sciences. Did that come from something that happened early on in your education? Is it something that happened personally? Can you share with us a little bit about where that interest came from?
Yeah, absolutely. It all came, we all have our favorite teacher from middle school or high school. I think my biology teacher really contributed to that. So I don't remember a time that I wasn't interested in the biological sciences. I've actually tried to think far back on when did it start, and I don't know when it started. I think that's why in my career trajectory, it almost seems a little boring, because it's something that I always wanted to do. I scored 100 percentile in high school and college biology exams. The others I'm not, not quite so much, but in biological sciences was always something where I shined. And I luckily I had the resources, and my parents encouraged me. And honestly, neither of them know anything about what I do even now. They try to understand, but they don't, but they're really excited about it. So I think that it takes a lot. I'm thankful to all the resources that they provided me, even though they didn't know what I was doing. And same goes for my high school teachers. Still ask me about what I do. And I don't know, my mom used to say I ask a lot of questions, especially towards like, what is this? Why does this happen? So I I don't know when it started. I think it was always there, and I just had the opportunity and the surroundings that can help me continue the motivation. One of my other, as I started learning more about biotherapeutics and how drugs work, I realized that everyone's effort is, it seems big in our day-to-day life, but in the grand scheme of a drug development, a single person's effort is probably a drop in the ocean. And the scale of the process was I was astonished by it. There's so much that goes into the process before the drug makes it to the market. So I wanted to actually be a part of it. And I think even now, my biggest motivation is there something that I can 30, 40 years from now look back and point at and say, I had a part in that. So leaving something behind that, even however small, has my name on it, has my contribution. So that is my day-to-day motivation on a good day, on a bad day. So that's how I look at what I do. And for example, the other day I saw a commercial for a drug that I worked on during the bioanalytical stage. And I only know the scientific name for it. And of course, the commercial name is something else. I saw that and I kept thinking, I've seen this somewhere. I know this. And then when I saw the scientific name in the tiny little letters, I said, oh, wait a minute, I know this. So, I mean, these are things that, I like to have more of these moments, and that's what motivates me to do what I do. And it didn't come from it. I didn't operate in a silo, obviously. I definitely had a lot of people that believed in me. And, we always have days where you don't believe in yourself, but you have to have at least one other person who believes in you more than you do. So I am thankful to have had those opportunities, mentors and coworkers, friends, family. And the reason this session is very enlightening to me is because there's an opportunity for all of us to be that person to somebody else.
Perfectly said. Thank you. What do you guys think that you'll be doing in the next 5 years? What are your goals and plans for like the next, chunk of time in your career and at your organization? Swarmer, let's start with you this time.
Our organization, B2S Life Sciences, has been growing. So growth comes with challenges, good challenges, tough challenges. So we are pivoting into a lot of new areas where we would like to grow and be more established in. So in the next 5 years, I would like to see myself and my employer grow and be able to provide more services, because ultimately the goal is to help clients bring their drugs to the market. So 5 years from now, I would like to see the company as a whole to have grown in the areas that we wanted to grow, for myself to have learned a lot more than where I am now, because it's every day is a learning opportunity. So obviously I'm realistic enough to know that I'm not going to have 5 approved drugs to to kind of celebrate 5 years from now, but one would be nice.
Great. So K2, what about you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here, especially at Roche, is the data side of things, data analysis, and becoming more innovative with data. So my 5-year goal is to be in an IT role of some kind, where we have an IT workflow consultant role that was just created, where we are starting to get more people into that area, because data is so important. And we would not be able to get those innovative products if it weren't for the data that we analyze. And so in 5 years, I hope to be able to kind of take the knowledge that I'm gaining from visiting all these customer sites, being able to learn the data side of the data and IT side of our organization, and try and get myself as far as I can to help the innovation here at Roche.
Great. Samantha?
Yeah, innovation is a great word. I'm going to second that. Just the innovative, side of things, and just making sure that, us here at Azenta, we're just improving. I want to be a part of that improvement and, providing processes that, add to our service lines here at Azenta. We are doing quite a few projects actually that are like big scale, automation wise. I'd love to get into those. I think automation is a great thing for the life sciences field. So being a part of and, offering my 2 cents and, like Swarna had mentioned, just getting my name on something that is going to benefit in the long run and help many people, so.
Wonderful. I just like to remind everyone, if you've got questions for our early in career panel, as well as any of our HR executives, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. I'm going to kick that off with a question for all of you guys, which is, what advice, and maybe just take like 15, 20 seconds to answer this one, but what advice would you give to someone interested in the life sciences, either from an early in careers perspective or even someone that's been doing something else, but is really interested in being a part of this amazing, innovative community? Samantha, let's go back to you and start.
So something that excelled my career was just having an open mind, talking to as many people as I can, even if their field wasn't related to mine. Everyone has something to offer knowledge wise. So.
Thank you. And then we'll go to Sarah, since that's your counterpart. You guys can turn your cameras back on too, please.
I think that's well said, Sam. I think don't be afraid about what you don't know. I didn't know or understand or appreciate the complexity of what our business provides to this space, and just being curious, asking questions. I think you'd be surprised with where you can fit in and the rewarding feeling that comes with being a part of what this means to our world.
Great. Bridget, what about you and K2?
Well, I think Suketu said it best. It's don't make any assumptions about the type of fields that we hire for, and you never know what kind of role could exist in a biotech company. I know when Suketu was in school, he never imagined that he would be in a workflow consulting role at a healthcare company, but being open to new experiences and just going where your energy is and going where your passion is can really be surprising where you may end up.
Yeah, and for me, in terms of advice, I would say reach out to your network. You'd be surprised as to how open everyone is to just chatting with you to discover different things. I'll give you an example. Like my wife, she also works at Roche, and she was majoring in data science, and I was playing soccer with somebody who also worked at Roche, and he was a data science manager. I was like, hey, Hallie, you should, my wife, she should come over and watch me play one day and introduce yourself. And she did that. She worked at a different company for about a year. And this manager kind of reached out to her. He's like, I think I know somebody who's a data scientist. He reached out to her. He's like, hey, would you like to work for us? And boom, she had a job. I mean, just that one initial connection can really take you far. So, yeah.
Awesome. Our cook colleagues, Sue-Ann.
Yeah, Saketu, that's excellent. And networking is key for sure. I can't think of one position that I've had in my career that's not been because of networking. But I think if I could give one advice, especially for those that are still in school, is to get an internship experience in the area that you're wanting to pursue. Because again, you're going to be able to go into that environment, gain that experience, and then bring it back into the classroom. You've got something to, apply that knowledge to and reference to. But also, again, you're building that network. So that would definitely be my big chunk of advice for sure.
Jessica, what about you?
Yeah, kind of to echo off of what Sue-Ann said, I think internships are highly impactful, but I think also with that, as an intern, that's your chance to kind of explore potential career opportunities and kind of figure out, you might have an idea of what you want to do outside of college, but really getting to see that in action and, I had friends in college that did one internship. They really thought they wanted to go into research, did an internship in research, and were like, you know what, actually, this isn't for me. So just kind of echoing, I think internships are highly impactful, can really either solidify or help you rethink different career opportunities that you might not have known existed and now realize that you want to pursue, or confirm that you are pursuing the right area that you are, as well as, just again, networking, meeting other people, and just being able to really understand all the opportunities that are out there.
Great. Swarna?
I have to say I agree with everything that was said so far. Networking, be open to new opportunities. And I will also say that just don't be afraid to venture into something new or rediscover yourself. I think the worst thing you can do for your career is to just be stagnant. You don't know when opportunity comes. So just always be ready for new opportunities.
Great. Stephanie, I know you see this from a lot of different perspectives and not just the life sciences industry. Is there anything else that you'd add as advice to folks looking for maybe not even just life sciences, but to pivoting to a new industry or role?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Lori. Selfishly, I'm going to say join the Ascend Network. So ascendindiana.com, come find us. All the things our incredible panelists are saying here, you can explore, you can see what's out there, you can look for things that, if you put your skills in there, it will show you all the different opportunities across industries, and maybe you never would have thought of that. I also just want to say, do your homework. So what I'm hearing here is reach out to people, be curious, be interested, ask questions. So the network is an incredible tool, but it's only as good as the work that you put into it. And so just do your homework, be curious, ask a lot of questions. And I love what our panelists have said of don't be afraid to maybe look at something that wasn't the path you thought that you would be on. So yeah, join the network and stay curious and do your homework.
Yeah, I often say that my high school biology teacher probably would have a heart attack if he knew what I did for a living now, because I was always the journalism, newspaper, literature person. And now, my brain is fully on board with life sciences. And so, I always think if I can learn life sciences, most people can for sure. So, and it really is such a phenomenal industry, not just for our state, but for people all over the world. For the last set of questions, I'm going to turn back to our HR colleagues and just ask in general, are there positions right now, particularly sort of early in career positions that you guys have more openings for than others, or what's sort of the trend in terms of what you guys are needing and hiring for currently? Bridget, we'll start with you.
Thanks, Lori. So we are always hiring for our Roche Support Network, which is, we briefly touched on it for the Roche Academy. But if you have chemistry, med tech backgrounds, we would be very, very interested in talking to you. And there are always roles posted. Inside sales is another area to get some good early in career exposure to the business. But really, I would say at any given moment, we have anywhere between 50 and 75 open roles. And if for whatever reason you're having a hard time navigating, the type of roles, by all means, I would say Ascend would be a great point of contact. And you can always send an email to me and bridget.boyle@roche.com, and I will make sure to get your resume in the right hands.
Wow, that was awesome. What a great call to action. Sue-Ann?
Yes, very, very similar to Bridget. We do have opportunities open in several areas, and certainly check that out at cookmedical.com/careers. And again, you can certainly reach out. My email is Sue-Ann with an e.turner-johnson@cookmedical.com. So again, feel free to reach out to me. But we have opportunities in engineering, regulatory space, just marketing. There's several different areas, and in HR as well.
Great. And Sarah?
Likewise, yes, we are always hiring, and the types of roles are pretty fluid. They can range from the hands-on technical roles in our biobank facilities, like similar to the work that Sam described, where you're actually working on sample management and receiving and doing data, entering data and managing the input and output of those samples. And then we've got professional roles. And again, like I said, there are a lot of roles that aren't always front and center on my radar because we're willing to hire talent in Indiana to work remotely for those roles that can be performed that way as well. And so similarly, I think Jo Beth put all of our websites into the chat. So thank you for that, Jo Beth. But I'm happy to also have a conversation with anybody as well. And I will put my email in the chat.
Great. Well, thank you guys all so very, very much. Samantha, Sadeku, and Swarna, thanks for sharing your experiences. And Suanne, Sarah, Bridget, and Stephanie, thanks for joining us as well. And Jessica, too. I have a couple of announcements and things I wanted to mention before we wrap up today. As Patty mentioned, we are BioCrossroads is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. And so we've got a couple of events and new programs that we're actually kicking off just this morning. And so the first thing I want to mention, next slide, please, is our inaugural year for our 23 Pair Award. So the 23 Pair Award is a new recognition program for early in career talent. So I would actually love to see our 3 early in career talent have nominations for this role, as I think that they are sort of in the sweet spot of potentially great candidates for this role. But please go to our website that Jo Beth put in the chat. Nominate your next generation life sciences leaders. We're going to have you see the criteria there. So basically, if you've been in the industry less than 10 years, we would love to have folks from academia nominated as well. There's so much, as Patty mentioned earlier, we've got over 50,000 people working in this industry in Indiana, and we want to celebrate those next generation early in career folks because they're such a critical part of Indiana's future for the life sciences. And so we've got an event where we will, an in-person event this time, where we will recognize everyone. And it's no mistake that we're doing it on August 23rd as well, at 5:30 at the AMP. And what's really neat about this inaugural program is that we will not only be recognizing the nominators and the nominees, but we're going to continue to engage with this group of folks. We hope to host breakfasts. I'm planning on sort of an ambassador training program, some different opportunities beyond just the recognition, which of course is incredibly important. But BioCrossroads is really committed to continuing to have a relationship with not only this first class of awardees, but for those in the future as well. So we're really, really excited about that. Please, please, please nominate your folks. Let's get some great folks recognized, and we're really excited about that. So we've got that event, and then the other one that you can't register for quite yet, but we will be having what we call the celebration event on September 22nd, and that's really the full-on 20th anniversary celebration of BioCrossroads, sort of looking back at how far we've come, but then also looking forward to the future. So we're really excited about both of those events. And then we also have one more event to talk about, another in-person event, and we're actually going on the road. BioCrossroads is going down to Bloomington on June 16th. I believe it starts at 11 at the mill, and we're going to release some new data that we've got focused on the Upland region and the healthcare and life sciences impact. that's going on specifically in that region. So I hope that you'll join us for that event as well. So we've got lots of things going on. We're really excited to hopefully have some of these in person now and celebrate what's happening in our industry and celebrate our people as well. So thanks so much again to all of our presenters this morning, and for everyone for joining us. Check out all of the information on our website, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.